Hello, I'm Professor Mike Boardway and with MBA Educational Horizons, and the purpose of this video is to talk about the California Supplemental Exam offered by CAB, California Architectural Board, and the format that it's offered in, and also the products and services that we offer through my company to help the candidate prepare for the exam. A little bit of history on the CSE, California Supplemental Exam. They started off at about around the early 1990s with a more strict type of exam. Before that was an informal interview where I was involved with that one. I took two projects in, we sat there and had a chat, and pretty much everybody passed the exam. It was an informal interview. Early 90s, they came out with what we called the oral exam, the CSE oral exam, where you'd go up in front of a panel of three rather seasoned architects, and they would ask you questions for about 2.5 or 3 hours, and you'd have to respond and be pretty well prepared verbally and psychologically and such as well, because it was a lot of stress, at that time. And the reason why they did that, I was told, is because California has one of the highest lawsuits in the union, as well as the most populated state in the union, and so CAB felt they needed to take the candidate to a level of properly protecting themselves more and communicating and documentation. So the exam is really testing you on your knowledge of California-specific issues, as well as properly practicing architecture and the standard of care and responsible control and that type of thing as well. And so the exam went on with the orals for a number of years, and then they converted into written exam. Before then, with the orals, you had to fly out to California and take the exam in front of the panel and so on in Northern and Southern California. Now it's in written form, and you can take it pretty much in your area, in your state, at a testing center and go from there. So it's a little more convenient for you. And however, the context is information, or the context of the exam is information we have to be knowledgeable about, of course, before we take the exam. So being properly prepared. Usually a candidate would allow about 4 to 6 weeks in preparing for this exam, and then take the exam on the 7th week or something like that. And so it's a matter of putting the time in, especially if you're coming in from out of state, because your main question is, well, what is California-specific issues, and what am I going to be tested on? And then, of course, there's also the standard of care and properly practicing architecture that CAB will test you on as well. This is for the most part a commercial exam, non-residential. It's AIE contracts and logic. It's more theoretical, ideal than reality. So the more you can remove yourself and your experience, for the most part, from this exam, the better. That's why some more seasoned architects have a little bit of a challenge with this exam, because they've got to go back to theory, textbook thinking for this exam in answering the questions and such. The format of the exam, it's two parts, really. The one is called project specific, where they will give you a document or documents, usually site plan, floor plans, elevations, section, some correspondence between the parties of the project that you need to review, and so on. And then you'll be asked 20 or 30 questions about that, part one. And my recommendation is just go to the questions first and then go back to the documents they gave you and get the answer, as opposed to the other way around. Because you don't want to be studying information on questions that you wouldn't be asked about, So, and then you let that time run out if you're ahead of time, or you go back and double check your answers, and then once that's finished, then we'll go into the next section, which is called general category. And this is probably 60, 70 questions here in this exam. And it's based on the general subjects of indigenous issues of California, and also practicing architecture, contracts, and things of that sort as well. The candidate is tested on two areas in this exam. One is what they call all the reference material that they give you. And you can go onto the website there of CAB and pull up all the information for CSE, and they got the handbook and uh, and the rules of doing the exam, and they talk about the format of it. They give you some practice questions as well there, and so you can kind of take a look at that. Um, we've found over time that there's more than one version of the exam. And so when a candidate is given a project or two projects at the beginning of that first section of the exam, part one, those project types vary, okay, as well. And then one exam might have emphasis on codes, and another exam might have emphasis on construction phase and such. There are percentage breakdowns, of course, but we go through and take a look at holistically studying. I mean, that's the way that I prepare candidates. Is let's study all the all the areas that you'll be tested on, and whatever question they ask, you should be able to answer it correctly. Okay. They usually change the format of the exam between 3 and 4 years, something like that. But like how many? I'm at a point where how many different ways can they ask the same question, same type of question, So, but we do need to understand the subject of what you're tested on, and we go from there. And the whole exam should last about 2.5, 3 hours, about 3 hours, and then you are given your results before you leave the room. Okay, so you do know if you pass or not pass by the end of that, or at the end of that exam. Okay, and so we go through and take a look at the exam. If you don't pass and you have to wait 90 days, 3 months, and then you can take it again. You can apply right away if you didn't pass, and then we can have to wait 3 months, and then you can take the exam again. But the services that my company offer, okay, and I've been asked to do this little video because, the website, we offer so many services, sometimes it confuses candidates. And so I do recommend to spend a little more than 5 minutes looking at our website. But, just go to the California supplemental exam and hover over that, or click on the main page, and then there's drop down pages as to the seminars and the schedules and registration, and so you just take your time and look through that, and we go from there. But the services that we offer, are considered to be seminars or workshops. I call them workshops because I require a little more interaction at this level instead of me just getting up there and lecturing, And so we have workshops, okay, where we meet on a certain day and sit around a table. I try to keep it, about 10, 12 people at the most in the workshop. And I kind of know your history before that because I'm looking at a little bit of your write-up and so on before we take the exam, or that workshop rather. And so we have workshops, and then we have teleseminars where you can stay where you are and just on the phone. We do the teleseminars, send you the code, and then there's a button where you can push if you have a question, and then everyone can answer the question, and I'll cue you in and then answer the question, and that type of thing. So there's interaction on the teleseminars as well. And then there's also tutoring, and tutoring is kind of popular because of the higher passing rate. It's one-on-one. I know your strengths and weaknesses. Where you're at is a function of how fast I can deliver the material. Okay, and so and the more you review the material before the tutor session, the higher your absorption ratio is going to be as well, right? And so I recommend the materials, the day you register, are sent to you electronically, and you get the books, which are included in the seminars and workshops and tutoring, and I just include them in the books. You're really paying for my service, actually. And then we're going through and taking a look at tutoring, and we do that on a convenient time. I tutor on day or evening, whatever's convenient for you, usually on Tuesday and Wednesdays, and we try to get a convenient time and date. for both of us, and we go from there. There's also coaching, which is just short phone calls, about 30 minutes or so, at the beginning of the week, the end of the week, and we talk to each other. How are you doing on studying? Do you have any general questions and things of that sort? We don't have time to really go into the meat of the material as we do in tutoring, and so coaching can kind of just keep you on focus, on task, because I know our schedules sometimes get so busy that it's hard to stay focused on preparing for the exam. There's also consultation. Sometimes I'll get calls from candidates. Give me just an hour of your time. I'm trying to lay out a schedule, method, or way of studying for this exam. I need your input. That type of thing. So consultation for the exam is something that I do as well. Again, we don't get into the material so much. We just talk about laying out a schedule that makes sense to you, okay? And so we take a look at that. But we go through and take a look at let's take a look at first at the workshops I was talking about. The first one basically is what we call the 3-in-1 workshop. That's 3 subjects in one day. So it's a full day. We start at 9 in the morning, go till about 5 or 6 in the evening, something like that. And the 3 areas, of course, would be the test plan and the reference material. And then we also have a mock exam you take, and then we grade that and talk about all the questions and the answers to that mock exam. So that's pretty much a full day. I mean, we get a lunch break in there somewhere as well. So we call that the 3-in-1. It's pretty popular because it's pretty intensive, but it also covers a lot of material. All right. And there's also what we call the 2 Wednesday workshops. And this is where we meet on Wednesdays from 1 to 5 in the afternoon. It's in Southern California only. It's got to be local. And so some candidates will fly in from the East Coast or anywhere outside the country and join up with us and do the Wednesday 1 to 5. Okay, we have two Wednesdays, and so that's when we cover all the 3 subjects again. We'll do the test plan, reference material, and mock in the 3 days. We break it up in those, or 2 days rather. We break it up in those 2 days, those 3 subjects. So that's the 2 Wednesday workshops. There's also another workshop. It's called the 1-day workshop. And this is where we go through just the test plan and the mock exam. We don't go through the reference material. Okay, so if you are pretty strong on the reference material, but you want to talk more about the test plan and the 70 some odd categories in the test plan, we talk about that in this 1-day workshop. And we go from 10 to about 5 or 6 in the evening, 10 in the morning till about 5 or 6. And then we'll go through the practice exam and that type of thing as well in that 1-day workshop. Okay, so we go through and take a look at those are some of the materials or the services that I offer. As far as the materials go, I've put a book together over the last, because I've been doing this for close to 30 years, or around 30 years, and I put a book together. It's in 3 parts actually, part 1, 2, and 3, and so that's the book that is included that I just give as part of it. The tutoring, the seminars, workshops, not the consultation, but the workshops and the tutoring and that type of thing. So we go through and we include the book, parts 1, 2, and 3. We have practice exams. It's called practice A, B, and C. Each letter, A has 200 some odd questions, Q&A. B, 200 questions about, and then C is about 200 questions as well. So sometimes candidates will order all 3, or they'll just order 1, or they already have A, so they're ordering B and C, or that type of thing. Now these practice exams are by themselves, or they include audio description of each of the packages and the Q&A, questions and answers, and then also it could include tutoring as well if you want to sign up for. We have 1-hour tutoring on each of the packages, 1 hour each package. Okay, so that's the option there for the practice exams. Okay, now there's also recordings that I have, and it's me in a studio, and we go for about 2.5 hours I have one video on all the reference material. I've got one video on the test plan. I call it the expanded test plan because I've taken the test plan and I've expanded it, okay, into about 60 pages or so. So that's the videos, and then the audios would be, again, the reference material, the test plan, and also the practice exams like I mentioned earlier. The other type of audios that I made over the years, I've been, suggested or talked about with candidates is sometimes they have stress in taking the exam. They've prepared and they're very well prepared, and they go into the exam and then this door closes or something, I don't know, and then they go blank mind, So I have what they call the visualization audios, and so that's a matter of training the mind not to shut down and stay focused on the question, okay, as well. And so there's like 5 or 6 visualization audios you can take a look at. Sometimes people come in from other countries and English is a second language. I've got an audio for that, as well. Okay. We do have specials now. Sometimes we put packages together for you. And the specials, we have one that's called Procrastinator Special. All right, and not to be facetious, but we are procrastinators, and once we accept that, then we get to do something about it, and so on. Anyway, so Procrastinator Special for the CSE. Okay, so that would be 3 2-hour tutor sessions, you and me tutoring, Skype, FaceTime, phone, and we break them up into 3 categories. Again, the reference material, test plan, and the one mock exam. I think it's package A. And we have three 2-hour sessions, and then we also have 6 hours of coach calls. Now I leave this up to the candidate to call me on the coaching. We'll have a predetermined time, and we usually do it at the beginning of the week and the end of the week, Monday and then Friday. It's about 30 minutes, and it's just quick coach calls. How you doing on the material? Here's the material for the week, and so on. Because we also include 6 weeks of curriculum for this package as well. Suggested layout, what to cover each week. Okay, so we'll have a coach call at the beginning and then a coach call at the end of the week. How'd you do? Any questions on the curriculum and such? We don't have a lot of time to go into the material on coach calls, but it's just the main focus or purpose of coach calls is just keep you focused and on track. Okay, but this package also includes the videos, the 2 videos I talked about, and also the 3 audios I talked about, as well as our 3-part booklet. Okay, so we call it the Procrastinator Special. There's also the Exam Buster Special. It's very similar to the Procrastinator Special, but it's twice the time on tutoring. Okay, so now you've got 12 hours of tutoring, 6 2-hour sessions, because somebody has to really pass this thing. No exceptions allowed or whatever, and because they've got a lot of California projects lined up, but they have to be licensed. So anyway, so a higher passing rate, of course, the more energy you put into preparation, obviously, the higher possibility of passing. So anyway, we have 6 2-hour tutor sessions, again, that focuses on the test plan, the reference material, and the mock exam. 6 hours of coaching, the videos and the audios, the 6 weeks of curriculum, and then the 3-part booklet, part 1, 2, and 3, my MBA booklet. And also I've written a book that's called How to Pass the CSE, and that's available on my website as well. And that's included in this package, Exam Buster Special, okay? There's also another 3rd special, which is called the Classroom Special. It's almost like going to school, going to a university, taking a course. No tutoring involved, but we have 6 weeks of assignments and curriculum given to you, and you have to, and there are numerous exam questions that are submitted to you, and you take the exam and send them back to me for grading, okay, just like taking a class. And then candidates will then, it includes also the audio, the videos and the audios, okay, and so usually after that, then the candidate would take the exam around the 7th week. Something like that. So Classroom Special, you can always call me, but there's no tutoring. interaction there at all, because sometimes candidates say, yeah, I mean, I'm available at midnight. That's the only time I'm available to prepare this for this thing, and I don't tutor then. So they're kind of on their own. It's like a home course package, but it's a classroom class they have to take. My availability basically is 12 months right after you register. That's when the clock ticks. That I'm available to you by emails, texting, things of that sort, or until you pass the exam. Okay, whatever occurs first. So no other individual organization, I believe, offers that. This is what I do half the time. The other half, I'm running my company. So anyway, but I just wanted to kind of go over some of the products and services that I'm offering, and if you have any questions, you can always call me. Okay, the idea is to get you through the exam and on with life, as they say. So anyway, I'll let you go, but take care. And if you have any questions, give me a call. Thank you. Bye bye.